Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're very, very welcome. I have just finished watching the season 3 of Real Housewives of Lagos. And yes, I watched the Real Housewives franchise as well as many other things. So I wanted to wait till the end of the season to do this episode and tell you guys exactly what I thought about it. So the season has ended. I am here with my thoughts, my views, my opinions. You know me, I do not hold back. So let's not wait any further and let's talk about it. I absolutely think that Caroline Hutchings carried this season on her shoulders. She was the star of this season. She was the drama queen of this season. She was the storyline of this season. And when I mean storyline, she was somehow everyone's storyline this season. I applaud her because without her, the season I don't think would have been a success. So kudos to her. That having been said, let's dive in, starting from more or less like what I feel were her highlights. She came in with a lot of good energy. She came in apologetic towards Laura for her own role in what happened between them. I think that was probably what I liked about her the most this season, because being able to own your role in something doesn't mean weakness. It actually means strength. So I really applaud her for that. She gave a sincere apology and mended things with Miriam as well, and kind of was really open to getting to know all the other new cast members this season. So it was very enjoyable to watch that. I think that was great of her. She had quite a few feuds with cast members. Her and Dabota, her and Diadem. I think those are the main two, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think she had issues with any of the she didn't have issues with any of the other girls. And the biggest feud was her and Dabota. You know, the one where her spirit left her soul, according to her. I need to do that part again because it's just so interesting. Her spirit left her soul. Caroline is so funny, guys. She's so funny. Yeah, so that was interesting. I would say that the fight she had with Dabota at the trip in Ghana was definitely another highlight for me. So let me tell you why. You see the whole feud that's going on between her and Dabota? There's so much more to it. I am not even here to tell you who I think is right, who I think is wrong, for two reasons. One, I don't care about being morally correct when it comes to the Real Housewives shows, because they're reality shows. It's about the drama, it's about being entertaining. So of course, if it's in real life, you'll say, oh, well, you're not supposed to fight someone physically. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But at the end of the day, it's a show. So I'm not going to really talk about the morality of it all. But also, I think there's so many missing pieces about the feud. Like, there's just so much that we're not being told. I hope it will be discussed at the reunion. As you know, when Caroline met Dabota in the season, she initially seemed to be open to her and to not really have any problem with her. My interpretation of that was she was hoping not to bring the drama that they had into the season. And when I mean drama, I don't mean that they were necessarily beefing, but you know how sometimes you could be cordial with somebody, but you really don't like the person for something that has happened in the past, and the person may not even know that you feel that way about her. I think that's how it was between Caroline and Dabota. Caroline wasn't really feeling good about Dabota. Dabota didn't necessarily know that. She came into the show thinking her and Caroline were going to be good, but nah, that quickly turned left. When Caroline said that she was uncomfortable at Dabota's house, or when she saw Dabota's friend in the kitchen, Ehi, I actually noticed that watching it. You could see Caroline's body language when she was at Dabota's house, that she was so uncomfortable. And listen, guys, it goes back to what I'm saying. We don't know the details about the story. We know that Dabota and her friend Ehi say we've been cool with Caroline. We've got no issues. We don't know where this is coming from. From Caroline's point of view, her business has been affected from Devota's friend. Her marriage was affected by Devota's friend. She felt like Devota didn't have her back when what happened with her marriage happened. So many things. And what I mean by not having her back is she mentioned that after she left her marital home, that Devota went there with this particular friend of hers who Caroline had issues with and was dancing at a party in the house, and she saw that as a betrayal, especially because she felt like she had been there for Devota during her own difficult times. This is a she said kind of situation. So unless real receipts are brought out of the reunion, we don't really know what happened. But what we do know is that when Carol saw Devota's friend Ehi in the kitchen at Devota's house, her spirit left her soul. We know that part. That was too funny, guys. With Diadem, honestly, I think it was miscommunication. And I think it was also Diadem kind of just taking the things that were happening between Devota and Caroline personal, and kind of taking a very clear stand, being on Devota's side. Even if she didn't necessarily admit it, I think she was taking it personal, and I think she was indirectly beefing with Caroline because of Devota. I know how Carol is. If you come for her, she will drag you to hell. I don't even think she dragged Diadem to hell. I think she actually held back because Diadem was friends with Miriam and friends with Laura, and I think honestly she doesn't really have beef with Diadem, so she just felt like, why do we even need to beef? You know, they had a little bit of an argument, but that was it. And Caroline tried to fix it with Diadem multiple times, but Diadem wasn't having it. The issue at the beach was too small of an issue to justify Diadem and Caroline beefing the whole season. It does not make sense to me. But I have to say, it was not Caroline's fault, in my opinion. So she tried to be good with Diadem. The only person that she really was not trying to be good with was Devota. Let's be honest. She was not trying to be good with Devota. She wasn't trying to get along with Devota. She was visibly upset every time her and Devota were even in the same room. So yeah, other than that, her friendship with Sophia, I think, was actually very genuine. I think she just naturally liked Sophia, and Sophia reciprocated it, and at the end of the day, they built a beautiful friendship from there. That was nice to watch. I think her and Laura also have really gotten to a good place. Are they ever going to be very close friends? I don't think so, but not because of what happened in their past. I just think they have very different lives. You know, Laura is very family oriented, down to earth, business, like she's an Igbo girl. Business. So if you're not here to talk about business with Laura, she's not really interested. So, and I'm not saying this as a shade to anybody else. I'm just saying, if you look at how Laura is on the show, if you look at how Laura is even outside of the show, she's very business oriented, and a lot of her friendships have to do with her business, if you know what I mean. So that's why I don't think they're ever going to be like 5 and 6, but not because they don't like each other, because I think they do at this point, and that was very nice to watch. So again, kudos to Caroline for carrying the season. She did a really great job, in my opinion. She was entertaining. Her fashion was on point. She gave us lifestyle. She gave us drama. Like, talk about, I feel like sometimes some of the drama that she gave, she actually did it on purpose to keep us entertained, because sometimes it was like, how did you even get from this point to that point, you know? But even at that, I still enjoyed watching it. So kudos to her for a wonderful season. She was great. Devota, I think, came into the season with not what seemed like the friendliest energy. And I'm not saying she's not a friendly person. Neither am I saying she's a bad person. I don't know the lady. But watching it as a viewer, it felt like she came into the season like, hi guys, I'm your queen. and you're my peasants. That's how it came across. And I think that rubbed a lot of the women the wrong way. And that led to her really not blending in the group and having issues with multiple cast members and just not having the best rapport, let's just say, in the group. Starting from number one, the boat was a beach trip, whether she invited the group to the beach. She didn't seem like the best host. She didn't seem like the friendliest host. She seemed very detached, very, not open to criticism, not really going out of her way to make sure that everybody was comfortable. Like Laura didn't show up at the beginning of, I think, the first episode where we saw where they went to the beach, and not the first episode of the season. I mean, the first of the episodes that were filmed at the beach, Laura wasn't there. And she didn't even bother to call Laura or send her a message to check on her. And I get that she wasn't friends with Laura, but it's the least you can do if you know you're expecting people. You know what I mean? It goes back to like, this is a new group. Some people have been there before, but like you are new. You kind of want to show the group that you are open to building relationships. And that was already like a difficult, I think it was already an unfriendly sign, regardless of whether you like the person or not. I think it was just, normal good behavior you do. You check on people that you're expecting to come to your event. Then there was the altercation with Sophia, which granted, Sophia may have been overly vocal about how she didn't like her room. But I feel there's a way that Bota would have approached Sophia about that Sophia wouldn't have felt unwelcome. Now, that having been said, it did create drama, which was entertaining for us to watch. So I didn't necessarily mind it. But at the same time, I feel like it affected her relationship with the girls in the group. That beach was the beginning of all the problems that she eventually had, in my opinion. Her situation with, I'm gonna say, Laura, I don't want to go too much into it because I honestly don't care about it. If you don't like somebody, your business. I just felt, again, it was blown out of proportion. It was made into something that it didn't need to be. It was not entertaining. Like, it could have been handled so much better. But I am happy that Laura handled it with maturity and got them to be able to be in the same room and be cordial to each other and whatnot. I mean, that's the best you can do in that kind of situation. You're meeting somebody and the person is saying, I don't like you because I heard you said this, or hearsay. It's hearsay. That's what they call it in law. So like, you don't like me for something you heard I said that you never confirmed with me that I said. Well, I don't exactly care about whether you like me or not, but just so you know, I didn't actually say it. And that's kind of how it ended up being resolved. So again, I don't know if they're going to be friends or not, but that whole situation wasn't called for. It was just not, it was not a mature way of handling it, in my opinion. I love her friendship with Diadem. I think she truly likes Diadem. I know that they knew each other before the show, and I love the dynamic of their friendship. I actually have nothing bad to say about it, and I hope it continues. It was nice to see. So yeah, what we're going to be watching out for the reunion is, let's really get to the bottom of her beef with Caroline. Like, what is going on? Who is saying the truth? Who is lying? What is missing from the story? That's what I hope to see at the reunion. Miriam this season was the glue. If you watch other Real Housewives franchises, you will understand what I mean by the glue. Kind of the person that is keeping everybody together. She was friends with everybody, the new people, the old people. And I think she came into the season not really wanting to have drama because she had a tough season 2. You remember her and Faith? So it was a tough season 2 for her. So I think she came into season 3 and was like, yeah, I'm not looking for drama. I want to be cool with everybody. And for the most part, it worked out until her and Diana had their fight. And granted, I don't think Miriam intentionally started it. But you know how it turned out. Diana overreacted and it almost got physical. And I don't blame Miriam for what happened. Miriam called Caroline because Caroline was not at the event, and she put it on speaker. Yes, it is true. When you put it on speaker and you don't tell the person that you're calling that it's on speaker, it might instigate a negative reaction by the host. However, remember, it's a reality show. So you have to put it on speaker so that everybody can hear, so that the viewers can hear. And again, even if it's going to bring some drama, you're not thinking that's going to turn into a big fight with the host. You're trying to bring something to talk about. You're trying to bring something that will be entertaining. If I were a producer there at the scene, I would say, call Cara and put it on speaker, because I want that entertainment to be added to that scene. And I think that's what Miriam was doing at that point. She was thinking of the show, and she was thinking of what would make sense for the show. Unfortunately, Diadem took it to a whole other level, overreacted, escalated the situation, and we saw the fight. Not physical, but it almost got physical. That I probably would say was the only thing that stood out for Miriam this season. It was just that, because other than that, she was very calm, very demure, very quiet. Of course, we have the last scene of the last episode, her event, what happened with Diadem. You know, that one. That was touchy. But the reason why I don't even bring it up as like a highlight for Miriam, because I feel like so okay, let me explain it. I know you guys have watched it, but let me just say, Miriam had the opening of her business on the last episode, the season finale. And because of the fight her and Diadem had, Diadem came late when almost everybody had left. So it was just Miriam and Dabota that were there. She came in wearing a jeans and top. On the top had a write-up that was referring to Miriam. Well, we assume it was referring to Miriam because Faith had called her a raccoon in season 2. So on her shirt, she wrote something like a raccoon with a skunk attitude or something like that. Girl. And then she came into the event. And I think she was expecting a reaction from Miriam, and she was expecting to have a fight with Miriam. But Miriam held herself. She composed herself. She was like, I'm not going to give you what you're here for. Also because that's her business event. So she's not going to want to ruin it, even if she's tempted to react. And so Miriam ended up pretending like she didn't see what Diadem was wearing. And Diadem had this whole attitude where she was really trying to make it very obvious that she was coming for Miriam. And Dabota was, I think, just kind of stuck in the middle of the two. She was trying to I think she was trying to make Diadem feel like she had her back, but at the same time, not wanting Miriam to feel like she was like totally against her. As though she was just stuck in between the two. And I was like, I don't want to be Dabota in that situation, because I would literally just be like, so girls, like, I wouldn't know what to say. I feel like it was that kind of a situation, but it felt flat because there wasn't a reaction by Miriam. But we know Miriam can bring it, so I think there is going to be a reaction at the reunion. I think Miriam is going to come to that reunion targeting Diadem. Trust me, I believe that's what's going to happen. And I don't know if Diadem will be prepared for that. But let's see. I think Diadem as a whole is a very, very sweet girl, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I like her. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to be with Miriam at the reunion. Diadem, as I just mentioned, she is a shrewd businesswoman. She has a beauty brand that I actually heard really good things about before she even came onto the show. So I think she legitimately has a successful and thriving business. I love to see that. So kudos to her for that. And I love that they were able to bring, people like her that have so much to show, and just ways to, she's inspirational to many women and many young girls, just for that, in my opinion. Overall, I think she's a sweet girl. She described herself as an introvert. I think I saw that. She struggled to blend in with the group. And I think the reason why she struggled is because she tends to keep her feelings to herself and then overreact after keeping her feelings to herself for a long time. I also think she aligned herself with Dabota, not just in form of being her friend, but also like her alliance. Like, I have your back, you have my back. But the problem was the Bota wasn't getting along with anybody in the room. So if you're gonna align yourself with somebody that's not getting along with anybody, then you two are not gonna get along with anybody. And I think that's what ended up happening. Her issue with Caroline was minute. It was about Caroline coming late to the beach, which the event was the Bota's event. It wasn't even Adam's event. Her issue with Sophia ghosting her at the appointment that they had. I see why Adam would be upset about it. But you gotta move on from it at some point. You're not gonna be upset about it the whole season, you know? And her issue with Miriam, overreaction. Again, overreaction. So she was able to build, in my opinion, a genuine friendship with Laura. And I see why. You know, I told you Laura is very business oriented. And Laura is also very, I wouldn't call her an introvert, but she can be a lot of like sticking to herself kind of thing. So I see how her and Diadem were able to like click. They're in the same business, kind of, not exactly, but they're in the beauty business. They're both kind of introverts. It makes sense. It makes sense. I feel like they have a lot in common. It goes back to what I was saying about being able to have things in common, and that's kind of an easy way for you to become friends with someone. I think that's what happened in their case. And so they just genuinely blended in and became friends, the both of them. But aside from Laura and the Bota, Diadem is at odds with everybody else, because even her and Sophia are not really cool like that. So I think she's going to get a lot of heat at the reunion. I think if she does come for the next season, she should work on building real relationships with this woman. And I don't mean they have to be your best friends or sisters, but at least have a relationship with them, because it seemed like she really didn't build any kind of friendship with them. And it was like awkward to watch sometimes. The events were just awkward sometimes because of that. It felt like there were two groups in one. Had the Bota and then the rest of the girls. So yeah, that's what I would say for Diadem. Sophia was another highlight of the season. Sophia really surprised me. I feel like the image that Sophia had before coming onto the show was very different. You know, most people knew her as Davido's baby mama, and you know, the blogs were always reporting certain things about her that were not necessarily true. I don't know, but like, I just feel like it gave a lot of people a certain impression of her. But coming onto this season of Real Housewives of Lagos, I have to say, she seems cool. She seems like a girl's girl. Like, I like Sophia. I think she is great on the show. I think she is super entertaining, super friendly, super. Her trip to Ghana was the best cast trip that they have ever had on the show. Hands down. They've gone to Dubai, they've gone to, I can't remember where they went to last season, but they've gone to places, but this was the best. She organized it to the T, and she made sure that everybody was well treated well, welcomed, and made to feel good. And I think that is what was missing again at the beach event that the Bota hosted before. But she was great. That was her highlight of the season. Now, something I did not like was when she was talking about her man, and she was like, oh, he's very rich. Oh, very, very rich. I mean, rich. Listen, you having a rich boyfriend is not an achievement. Let's stop pushing this, okay? Girls, make your own money. Girls, go to school, work hard, be your own boss, do your thing. If you're working, if you have a job, focus on your job, grow in your job. Like, let's stop pushing this whole idea that you having a rich man is something to boast about. If your boyfriend is rich, okay, so what? Talk about your own money. Don't talk about your man's money. Talk about your money. So, you know me, I don't like all of that. So, for me, I didn't like that. That's the only thing I didn't like. As for her fashion, her glam, her personality, everything else was 10 over 10. She was great this season, and I hope to see her the next season. The only thing I will say, if she's coming the next season, is listen, all that peace talk sometimes gets boring. She's always trying to make peace with everybody. Everybody make peace. This is a reality show. We did not come for peace. Like, listen, in real life, you can do that. On a reality show, there has to be drama. So leave the peace talk at home and come ready for the drama. Not all the time, but sometimes. You know, Laura this season was another peacemaker. I was talking about how Sophia was a peacemaker, but I feel like Laura, that was literally all she did this season. Trying to talk to everybody, have everybody make peace. She was very, very laid back this season. She showed a lot of fashion. She really showed a lot of her Laura Beauty business, which, by the way, the last time I visited Nigeria, I went to Laura Beauty and it was beautiful. I love the store. I liked it. So I was happy that she advertised it even more on the show. It really deserves all the attention it's getting. She didn't bring a whole lot this season, but I don't hold it against her because we know she can bring it. If you watch season 1, you watch season 2. Season 1 was literally all about Laura. Season 2, she had the biggest moment in the season, and that was the fight she had with Iyabo. So season 3, she kind of was more laid back, but she didn't need to be, I feel like, the center of the drama because you had Caroline that was like doing all of that. And so it made sense for Laura to be like more laid back this season. Again, we know Laura can bring it. And the only thing I would like to see more of Laura's life outside of the girls. And the reason why I say that is because when you're not bringing so much like drama and things like that, it's interesting for you to bring like other things, right? So show us other parts of your life that are interesting, you know, to kind of balance it out. But overall, I think she was good on this show as well. I mean, Laura always brings it, like I said, so I didn't really have any complaint on that. And this season, I would definitely give it 7/10. But I will give the crown to Caroline. She carried this season on her shoulders. And I will come back to update you guys after the reunion. Well, hopefully, I plan to, but let's see how it goes. Because I think a lot is going to happen at the reunion. There's a lot to unpack about the beef between Dabota and Caroline, Diadem and Miriam. So, yeah, I absolutely am going to tune in to watch the reunion. But as usual, don't just leave me here to talk to myself. Go to the comment section. Tell me your opinion. Share, like, and subscribe. And as you do that, I send you good energy, positive energy, blessings. I love you all. Thank you so much.